Hello and welcome to Layers of Living Water. I thank you for joining me today. I'm so glad you took a few minutes of your very valuable time to spend with me. Today we're going to talk about another story of life and hope and how we can do better, how we can bring change to the world around about us. Today I'm going to talk to you about a story that goes, "Oh, you mean I have a hole in my boat?" Hey folks, let's face it. If you have a hole in any type of vessel, you have a problem, especially if it's a boat, because that means water is going to be getting in the boat. They don't function too well with water inside the boat. It's supposed to stay outside the boat. So the story goes as follows. There was a man who loved to fish. In his spare time, he would go out fishing. He'd take his boat out. He just loved to fish, and he was good at it. He enjoyed it. So he said, "You know what? I think it's about time I get my boat painted." So he began to call around, finding who the best painter was, setting up the time, agreeing upon the price, getting everything ready, because he said, "I'm going to make my boat look the very best I can." So everything was set. He was ready to go. The man said, "Yeah, what? I'm going to go out one more time because I'm not going to have my boat for a period of time." Because let's face it, you can't paint a boat in a day. There's a lot of prep. There's a lot to do. There's much that must be done to do it correctly. So the man said, "I'm going to go fishing one more time before I take my boat to the painter." So on this particular day, he went out and he was having a great day on the water. He was fishing and bringing in fish just as fast as he could catch them. He really wasn't paying attention to the time. He really wasn't paying attention to the weather round about him, because all of a sudden he heard a crack of lightning. He looked behind him and a great storm was quickly coming upon him. He could see the rain on the water. He could see the winds blowing fiercely, and he could see the waves beginning to pick up. He said, "Man, I've got to get back to shore quickly." So he pulled in his fishing line and off he went. He was trying to outrun the storm, going as quick as he could. He wanted to get back to land. He wanted to get his boat on the trailer, and he had to get it to the painter because they had agreed upon this day to have it there. And he didn't want to lose his spot with the painter. So he quickly hurried back, and as he was on his way back, boom, he heard something bump the hull. He said, "Uh-oh, that's not good." But the storm was quickly gathering round about him. He could feel the raindrops starting to fall. He said, "I don't have time to stop and check it out right now. I'll check it out when I get back to shore." He got back to shore, put the boat on the trailer. The rain was coming around about him. He took a quick look. He saw a little crack in the hull. He said, "I really can't check it out now. I've got to get to the painter, and I don't want to get caught in this storm." So he took the boat over to the painter. He left the boat with the painter, and he was in such a hurry, he forgot to tell the painter about the crack. Well, that'd be the time to fix it, you would think, but he'd been in such a hurry, he just forgot about it. So he left the boat with the painter. The painter went to work on it and was making everything look good. The painter came upon where the crack was. He said, "Well, I wonder why the fisherman didn't tell me about this crack." Painter thought for a minute. He said, "You know what? I'm going to fix it because I believe what the Bible says, and I believe anything I touch, I'm going to do to my very best. If I put my hands to it, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to do what I know is correct." So the painter man said, "Oh, I'll just fix it. I'll talk to the fisherman afterwards. We'll work it out." He went to work. He fixed the boat. He painted the boat. It looked so beautiful. You couldn't even tell anything had ever happened. He picked up the phone to call the fisherman's house and let him know that the boat was ready. And when he did, the son was there. The son happened to answer the phone. The painter said, "Hey, your dad's boat's ready. Would you please let him know?" And the son said, "I'll do one better than that. I'll come and get the boat so it's here when he gets home." The painter man said, "Well, that should be fine. Come on and get it. It's ready to go." So the son had a couple friends over. They went and picked up the boat. Once they got it hooked up, they said, "Hey, let's go take the boat and put it in the water. Spend a few minutes. We've got time before Dad gets home." Well, they got out having a good time in the water. They lost track of time. The dad gets home from work, and he's wondering where the son is. He begins to look around to see if he can find a note, see what's going on. He said, "Well, maybe he left me a note on the phone memo system." He was checking that, nothing there, but then he happened to notice the painter man had called. So he called the painter. He said, "Hey, I noticed that you called." He said, "Is my boat ready?" The painter said, "Well, yes, it's ready, but your son came and picked it up. I talked to him earlier." And so the fisherman, he said, "Great." Then he began to think. He said, "Oh no, I forgot to tell the painter man about the hole in the boat." And he said, "My son is out there. He might sink the boat and get himself in trouble." So he began to try to call the son on his cell phone. He began to try to call the son on the two-way radio, but nothing could get a hold of the son. So he called the painter man back, trying to get some information, trying to find out what time the son had been there to pick up the boat. The painter man said, "What's wrong?" He could hear in the fisherman's voice that he was concerned. He was visibly bothered. He said, "My son must have taken the boat out, and I forgot to tell you that there was a crack in the hull that happened right as I was bringing it to you." The painter man said, "Well, sir," he said, "don't worry about it. Your son's fine. I saw it when I was working on the boat, and I fixed it. It is as good as new. Your son will have no problem out there on the water." The fisherman thought for a minute. He said, "Sir, I appreciate the way you do things. Thank you so much. You probably saved my son's life. You probably made a huge difference in our family, because who knows what would have happened if they took the boat out with a crack in the hull." The fisherman told the painter, he said, "I'll be over tomorrow to pay you what I owe you." And so the painter man said, "Certainly, come on." They set up a time. He came over. He had written out the check. He gave it to the painter. The painter looked at the check and he said, "Well, sir, this is much more than what you and I had agreed upon." The fisherman said to the painter, he said, "Sir, you did something for me that is worth so much more than money, because you saved my son's life. You saved what could have been a dramatic issue. You saved what could have been a dramatic problem in my family." The painter said, "Well, sir," he said, "I just felt like it was proper. I feel like doing things correctly. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do what the Bible says, and I'm going to do it to my very best. And that's what I did on your boat." So at the end of the story, everything was fine. The son came back. The dad was very happy with the paint job. I probably wasn't so happy that the son took the boat out, but everything was great. So you see, my friend, you can make a difference. When you do something, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what time it is. It doesn't matter what the project is. The important fact is that you do your very best. If you see a way to help somebody, if you're in the midst of doing something for somebody and you can do it better, do it, because you will make a difference. Can you imagine the difference it made in the fisherman's family? Because the painter had chosen to go above and beyond. The painter had chosen to do a job at his very best. He didn't have to fix that crack in the hull. He didn't have to do anything but paint the boat. But because of his conviction, because he wanted to do something, he changed a fisherman's life forever. My friend, today you can do the same. You can change somebody's life. You can make a difference in somebody's life. If you're doing something for somebody and you see a way to do it better, if you see a way to help them, just go ahead and do it. For the Bible says that the Father who is above will reward us. Even if the person chooses not to pay you for what you did, you will be rewarded because of what you've done. Thank you for listening today. Thank you for doing what we have heard, and thank you for making a difference in the world.